Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Nicole weekly live stream. My name is Nicole Willett. I'm the owner of Breaking Even Communications, which is an online marketing company, and we mainly help small businesses and nonprofits do more online. That might be staff training, that might be taking on some of the marketing tasks, that might be some consulting. So if you feel like you could use our help, feel free to reach out. If you are looking for this content, we've been doing these broadcasts for over a year now, maybe a year and a half. So there are some organized playlists on the YouTube channel. That's probably the best place to find it. But wherever you're watching this now, there is probably past archives of some sort. So today I wanted to talk to you about my hot takes for 2022. Now, January of 2008 is when I got my very first client. Like it was just me in the company and I got my first paying client. So that was 14 years ago this coming January. And I realized that over the last 14 years, I've definitely been right about some things and I've definitely been wrong about some things. And so rather than telling you that I was right, I thought I would record what I think is going to happen in 2022 and get your feedback on it because that would be great. But also so I could see next year if I was right or not. So let me talk very briefly about things I was right and wrong about in the past. So first of all, things I was right about in the past is that, years ago, if we looked at the open source content management systems that were being used to build websites, maybe 10, 12 years ago, there was Drupal, there was Joomla, and there was WordPress. Those were the three main ones, and they had a relatively equal market share. And for a while, I worked in all three, and it made me feel like completely insane because I just, it was hard enough to get how to work with one that trying to do three just made me feel like I was completely incompetent. So I had to pick which one I was going to go with. So I picked WordPress, moved my website over to WordPress, and just started like diving into that. And now, if we look at the open source content management systems, yes, there's still Joomla websites. Yes, there's still Drupal websites, but WordPress has the market share for the open source content management system. So I picked the winning horse in that race. I've also been talking about the fact that live video is a really big deal for a while. And I have really tried to walk my talk and do my own live videos, but try to encourage clients to do the same. And we see more and more often that they're being prioritized in the algorithms on social media, that, people seem to like want to watch live video, and it's, being increasingly incentivized both by, traditional social media websites like Facebook and Instagram, but also TikTok has really been pushing the live video on its creators. So I just think we're going to just see more of the same. And I think this live video is preparing us for something, and I'll get to that in my predictions. But I was right about that, and I was also right in terms of the same WordPress thing. Is a few years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, I realized that like working in all these different WordPress themes was kind of a pain because, it's kind of like inheriting someone else's filing cabinet, and you have to look through and kind of see where everything is. So we started moving all the websites that we managed to a certain theme. It's called Divi. And the reason that I picked it was mainly for my clients. Designers do not like Divi, and I get why. I'm not saying I don't get why, but clients like it because it has the same drag and drop functionality as Squarespace. So it's built in WordPress, which means that sort of functionally we can do anything that they want done, but that it has the drag and drop functionality and sort of formatting ease of Squarespace. And that's what clients were looking for. And so we started using Divi. Now, since then, WordPress has released Gutenberg, which I think is just honestly a super pretentious name. Like, it's as revolutionary as the printing press, like really. And their block editor works pretty badly. So one of the most highest downloaded plugins is the classic editor plugin. So basically you install it and it makes it so that it looks like how it used to look without the stupid Gutenberg drag and drop. But Divi is the number one theme, and I picked it before it was the number one theme. So, okay, winners of the race. We've established that like I can pick some things right. I was very wrong about some other things. I was very wrong about Foursquare. Now, I personally loved Foursquare because I'm the kind of person who likes to look at the Facebook memories and be like, oh, right, 3 years ago, I was like eating cake at this restaurant. Like, I'm so happy. I'm one of those people. And I really liked Foursquare because I don't know if you remember it, but in case you don't, you would basically check into local businesses. Like, you would say that you were there and you could include a picture or whatever. But if you checked in enough times, you became the mayor of that business. So there was like three of us in Bar Harbor that were trying to be the mayor of everything. and it was really fun. But obviously, there's kind of two things that happen, right? When you broadcast that you have a location. Number one is you are broadcasting that you are physically away from your house. So, yeah, there's, burglary and stuff like that. And then the other thing is that you are broadcasting where you are to an unknown group of people on the internet. And so you can imagine if maybe you're somebody with a stalker, you saying that you're at this bar just gives them a chance to show up. So I understand from a sort of safety standpoint why Foursquare couldn't work. But I just really thought it was a thing. I pushed my clients to get into it and like offer Foursquare specials and things like that. But yeah, I was really wrong about that. Sorry, everybody. And the other thing I was really wrong about was how much of the market share Squarespace was going to eventually take up. When I first started working with it, like, I had a client, who was like, oh, I want to like use Squarespace for this website, 7 or 8 years ago. It had pretty like limited functionality, but I feel like they're really building on their platform. I also think during the pandemic, the Square sort of service and these other kind of online builder tools really were innovative really quickly. And they're taking a larger and larger part of the market share away from WordPress, which I understand. WordPress, it's like handing someone a, giant car with a V8 engine and you're just like, I just wanted to go to the grocery store. I understand it could be a little bit too much. So yeah, so I kind of underestimated the website builders and what they would be able to figure out as website builders. So bravo on them. All this to say is I've been wrong about things too, and I am perfectly willing to admit that. And there's other things I've been right and wrong about, but that just gives you an idea of sort of my track record, which is 50-50. So I think half of the things I say today are going to be right. So we'll have to see, obviously, at the end of 2022. And if you think any of these are going to be wrong or super right, or if you have other predictions, please leave them in the comments because I would love to hear from you. Okay. So this is my hottest take. Okay. So I'm just going to start with that. So if you don't watch the rest of the video, that's fine. I think Instagram's going down. I say this for a few reasons. And the main reason I'm saying this is because the business decisions I feel like they've been making over the past year, rather than being proactive or user driven, have been reactive and have been driven by what other platforms are doing. They're like the kid who, buys all the same clothes and stuff as the other kids in the class rather than kind of cultivating their own style. It feels inauthentic. And I think that just shows that they don't quite know what to do. Because if they had a strong direction, I feel like they would just go in that direction. From a marketing standpoint, Instagram is really annoying because it takes a lot of my time as a marketing person to maintain for my clients. First of all, there's 4 formats of content. There's stories, there's in-feed posts, there's reels, and there's IGTV. So, and some of these pieces of content are specific to the platform, which means I am spending a lot of time creating Instagram content. Whereas I can just go on Twitter and write a tweet and be done with it. I don't have to like format it 4 different ways for it to like be visible to different people. My other beef with Instagram, besides having a lot of different formats of content, is that they release features to some people sometimes. And what that makes it hard to do, obviously, is sort of standardize how I approach something. So, for example, some of my clients have 30-second reels. Some of them have 15-second reels, and some of them don't seem to have the reels option at all. So, yeah, I know that they want some people to feel unbelievably cool by getting some features first, but honestly, it just really turns me off. It's like the velvet rope at the club. Like, I just feel like I'm too old for this crap, honestly. And the other thing is that their stats for reels and stories aren't really part of their API. So I use reporting software for my clients. And what I have to do is like open up Reels, for example, take a screenshot and put that picture in the report for the client. Do you know how stupid that looks when everything else is in these nice graphs? Like open up your API Instagram. So basically they're making my life as a marketer very annoying. And so it makes me not want to use it. And what I think is going to happen is that eventually Instagram is going to morph into a completely different thing. Like maybe they're only going to do like live shopping videos, or they're only going to like have a certain kind of like I don't quite know what they're going to do, but before they do anything, what I'm predicting is that user growth is going to plateau, engagement's going to go down, daily logins are going to go down. Before they change anything, they're going to have to see things massively slow down. I think they're starting to see it, but I think they can ride it out. They're not going to be able to ride it out as is. They're going to have to make some pretty massive changes. And that starts, I think, with making features accessible to all people, opening up their API, and rather than trying to replicate TikTok, trying to think about what need that they are serving in the marketplace. I know Facebook has been a little bit distracted with, all of their controversies. They're rebranding as Meta, I think, for that reason. But yeah, I predict Instagram is going to become a less relevant platform in 2022. That's my hottest take. I alluded to live shopping a second ago, but currently one of the fastest growing apps online is a online sort of live stream shopping app. Think about like if we all had our own QVC shows. That's what it's going to be like. And the whole like rise of live video has prepared us for this, but this is the next part of the evolution is that, people are going to want to shop over video. And small businesses are going to basically be their own sort of TV personalities showing off their products and services. And I think we're going to see more of that across the social media platforms, like across Facebook and Instagram and all that. But then I think we're going to see completely new apps pop out that just specialize in this, that are built for it, continuing to increase their user base and continuing to increase the amount of people who are broadcasting. So I see this is where kind of small business stuff is going. So I don't know, get your ring lights ready. This is live video isn't going away. I think it's just going to morph into a little bit more of a shopping situation. This other prediction is something I sort of hope is going to happen. And I have some ideas of how it could happen, but I'm not exactly sure what I sort of know this is the outcome that's going to happen. I don't know the execution of this outcome. So increasingly, we're being expected as business owners to not only maintain social media platforms and more of them, but also we're getting messages. We're getting messages on Google My Business. We're getting messages on WhatsApp. We're getting messages on, the normal, social media stuff we use, Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. We're getting an increase. So I think something has got to give, because there is a certain amount of content and bandwidth to read or engage with content that all of us have. And I think we're pretty much there. So I think what is going to be offered to individual, users or maybe us as small business owners is a way to filter maybe the social media feeds or the messages that we're getting, because it's just getting to be too much to be responsive. And I think a lot of us are really feeling that. So we see that, on Facebook, we can have, if I follow someone, I can get notifications from them. So I can choose to kind of see when they post something. I see that on Twitter. I can have lists, that kind of thing. So we started seeing that a little bit, but I think it's going to get more aggressive, because as the amount of content increases, people's bandwidth is not increasing at the same speed. So if companies want people to kind of engage more with the platform or see more of what they want to see, they're going to create ways for people either to personalize their own messages and stuff that they're getting, or maybe it's going to be more algorithmic, like TikTok's For You page. I don't know, but I just see that there's going to be more filtering, because just the amount of messages we're getting is just not an amount that we can keep up with forever. Now, this other one is sort of a more fun prediction, but and also, I will say not, the parts of this will apply to everyone and parts of this won't apply to everybody. But I see that the whole online video dating and networking is going to start happening. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about those like 1980s, VHS tapes were like, "Hi, I'm Bob, and if you smoke, get out of here because I think that's gross." It's like a 3-minute video of like some guy talking. So I think as the pandemic has made it harder to date or network, and as people just kind of want to cut to the chase of like, okay, are we going to get along or not? Video is an excellent way to get a feel for somebody, like whether you might like them or not. And I think most things I think it's more natural to see these some of these adaptations or whatever in dating before we see them in business networking. It's almost like um, so on Bumble right now, you can record voice messages with the questions or the prompts on your profile. So you could listen to a guy sort of talk his answer to the question, rather than just reading it. And I think we're going to start seeing kind of short form video as a way for people to meet each other and connect, whether that's in a business sense or in a more personal sense. So I know that one of my colleagues was telling me that there's this service called Hippo, which allows you to record video messages within LinkedIn. I think we're going to just see more of that. There's going to be video introductions or sort of short video things that people can watch and get a sense of who you are as a business owner, as a potential life partner. And I think we're going to just see this more. I don't know whether it's going to be built into the dating platforms or whether there's going to be kind of third-party companies like Hippo is working, with the LinkedIn messages to start having this functionality. But I see it being a much more efficient way to meet people, and so I think we're going to see that happen. And the other kind of thing that I feel like we're seeing is before GDPR, which is a law that was passed in Europe a couple of years ago and now is in effect in California as of the beginning part of last year, is that people, we've all been tracked for a really long time and our data is being sold, but people are going to be able to, or there's going to be backlash about that, like there has been, and they're going to want to opt out of tracking. And so what I think is going to happen is, so we have iPhones where people are opting out of tracking. We have, GDPR compliance currently in California, probably expanding to other states soon, where if people say they want to stop being tracked, we actually have to stop tracking them. So I think that companies are going to increasingly rely on more old school marketing approaches, letting their customers either give their email address or give their phone number and be able to reach out to them that way. So like, for example, when I was shopping for holiday gifts, and by the way, and I'm not saying this to be virtuous, I was on a lot of different e-commerce sites buying stuff in the last few weeks because I've been trying to buy from small businesses. I use Amazon to find the business, then I go to the business's website and try to buy it from there. And I have been about 80% successful in this. And like I said, I'm not saying this to be whatever. I'm just saying I've gone on a lot of different e-commerce websites in the last 2 weeks and bought stuff for that reason. And what was interesting is one of the websites, it said, put in your email address for 10% off. Then after I did that, they said, put in your phone number for 10% more off. And I was like, this is so interesting. They're getting both. And they're willing to offer a sort of financial incentive for you to give it. And I think the reason is that companies see that they're not going to be able to retarget as easily in the future. And so they're going to have to reach out to customers the old fashioned way. And the easiest way to do that, obviously, is to get their direct contact information, whether, like I said, it works better as an email newsletter or a text, or in the case of the company that I'm both. And it kind of like freaked me out for a second, but I thought, okay, I can see why they're doing this. And I think we're going to see more of it. So we're going to see more sort of aggressive, and by aggressive, I mean, whatever they asked me. It's not like they made me do it or something, but we're going to see an increasing ask for us to give our email addresses and our phone numbers when we buy things on websites, because these companies are no longer going to have the marketing data that they're going to be able to use in addition to that. And this is my last prediction. And I think it's a really good idea. And I think how it's executed will be really important. But I think if it's well executed, it's going to be really big. So Clubhouse, right, is an app, audio only, that launched first for iPhones and then it launched to everybody like 6 months later. And if you've never been on Clubhouse, what it is there's different rooms and you can go into a room and you can listen to people talking. And there's different kind of tiers of participation. There's the people who are like sort of like the panelists or the speakers. And then there's like a second row that's like, oh, here are people who are friends with the people who are speaking. And then there's a third tier of everybody else. And so obviously, mostly I'm everybody else in most rooms. And here is what I think about Clubhouse. So I know that it seems like I talk a lot because you watch me on video and I'm talking. But if we're in a group, I kind of wait for my turn. I'm looking for nonverbal cues that someone is done speaking or that they look toward me or something before I speak. And what I feel about Clubhouse is, those people who seem to completely ignore those cues and just talk anyway, those are the people who are on Clubhouse. Because it's like, I don't know. There's only so long you can hear people kind of yell talking at each other with like not much organization to it. And so it was one of those things where I liked the idea of Clubhouse, but like the execution didn't really speak to me. I really tried it for like a week and I was like, I cannot like this. And so I saw this alternative called Solve, and they seem like relatively small, but I think it's going to be a big deal. And what it is that there are organized topics. You're going to like solve a problem, I guess. And there are panelists. They're between, there's a moderator and there's between 2 and 3 panelists. And I both attended one and then I recorded one to just sort of understand how they were working. And it's really cool. Like there's this kind of timed thing and each panelist gets an equal amount of time. And the moderator is sort of keeping things organized. And so each solve is like 15 minutes long. So like there's sort of there's the opening remarks from the moderator that's like a minute. And then each panelist gets 1 to 2 minutes. And then there's a question. Each panelist gets 1 to 2 minutes. And then there's closing thoughts. And then each panelist gets 1 to 2 minutes. So like, it's just super organized. And it's also short and it's also audio only. And I keep mentioning the whole, like, we're going to meet people on video and there's going to be live streaming or whatever. There's going to be a certain amount of fatigue to that with all the Zoom meetings and everything like that. So I think there is a place in the market for an audio only experience. And I think that this company is going to do really well. So I'm going to predict that because it's taken the kind of good idea of Clubhouse in terms of an audio format that involves people talking to each other, and it has organized it, which I personally appreciate. So those are my hot takes. I'd love to hear what you think about them. I'd love to hear yours in the comments. And if there's any one of these things I've talked about that you'd like a deeper dive in, we can totally talk about that. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your year, and I'll see you next year.